Hi, and welcome to the MyConsultant.ca show. I'm Sarah Ostapchuk,
And I'm Joshua Panteloresco.
and we're here to help you with the Canadian immigration process. This show is designed to be a brief way to inform you on Canadian immigration news headlines, immigration policy and program concepts, and introduce you to industry experts. Today, we're doing a special edition focusing on Black History Month.
But first, before we begin this very special episode, a major news item has crossed our desk. On February 14th, Minister Sean Fraser tabled the 2022 to 2024 Immigration Levels Plan, which the Government of Canada has called ambitious but responsible. Here are the major points of the plan. A continued immigration intake at 1% of the Canadian population, which equals 431,645 permanent residents in 2022, 447,055 in 2023, and an even 451,000 in 2024, with intake at 1.14% by 2024. Nearly 60% of admissions will be in the economic class. Retention of immigrants already in the country will be allowed, granting permanent residency to temporary residents accepted through the time-limited pathways for essential workers of spring 2021.
They are very ambitious numbers, but they're not surprising to me. How about you, Josh?
The one that surprised me was the 100% immigration growth of the economy. That was surprising, not always in the best ways, not anything against immigration at all, just the lack of Canadian in the country involvement was surprising.
Right, you're referring to the fact that 100% of the labor growth is coming from immigrants, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and that's, I think, why they're pushing for such high numbers. I mean, last year we mentioned there were 405,000 immigrants accepted into the country, and that's already record breaking for Canada in a single year. So, yes, ambitious, but I'm seeing why they're doing it. What I'm thinking of as well as concerning is just that there does remain a backlog of applications from immigrants that still haven't been dealt with.
Which, like I said, it's ambitious. It's going to be interesting to see how they do all the backlogs of all this information of everybody that's already in the system as well. They mentioned a few things, but there are some things they're very unclear about. So it's going to be interesting to see. Like, it's definitely an ambitious plan. That goes without saying. The details are I have some question marks about.
Right. It is good news for folks who want to immigrate through the economic class, though, that's for sure.
That absolutely, there's definitely plenty of opportunity for you.
For those of you who don't know, February is Black History Month. Celebrate virtually tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern. To access the event, click on the link provided on the Government of Canada Black History Month page to join in on the celebration. And as part of this commemoration, I will be doing a profile this week on Minister Ahmed Hussein.
That's right. And to keep the concepts of immigration up, instead of a typical concepts of immigration, I will be talking about important moments in Black history from Canada's point of view. And without further ado, let's just get this rolling, shall we? Welcome, everyone, to this week's special Black History Month feature. This segment will cover a very brief history of Black History Month, along with a touch of Canadian contributions to equality and opportunity in North America in regards to slavery and African American rights. Black History Month first began in 1926 when it was instituted in the United States by Carter G. Woodson, an American historian. The idea would find itself up in Canada shortly thereafter. Canada has played an incredible role in the civil rights movement regarding slavery in North America. In 1793, when Upper Canada had been established, Chloe Cooley, an enslaved African woman in Upper Canada, now known as Ontario, resisted being transported and sold into the United States. John Simcoe, Lieutenant Governor of Upper Canada, heard about Chloe's case, introduced a law titled An Act to Prevent the Further Introduction of Slaves and to Limit the Terms of Contract for Servitude. This law freed enslaved people aged 25 and over and made it illegal to bring enslaved people in Upper Canada. Between this and the actions in Nova Scotia earlier in 1790, these laws contributed to the end of slavery in Canada. It goes without saying that the Underground Railroad in the 1800s played a pivotal role in the rights of all. From 1800 to 1865, approximately 30,000 slaves came to Canada through a myriad of safe houses and secret routes throughout, transporting them from the United States to Canada. Communities formed and expanded as the British Isles outlawed slavery themselves. Canadian settlements expanded across the country as more immigrants came from the United States at the end of the Civil War, as African Americans couldn't find work and struggled in places like Oklahoma due to the Ku Klux Klan. Canada, even before its inception, had embraced multi-diversity, started in that path from the very beginning. In 1976, the week became officially a month as Black History Month was formed, as the civil rights movements in the 60s altered perceptions in the United States forever. In Canada, it became officially recognized by House of Commons in 1995 due to a motion introduced by the first Black member of Parliament, the Honourable Jean Augustine. Finally, the Senate recognized Black History Month in 2008 due to a motion introduced by Donald Oliver, the first Black individual appointed to Senate. This year's the theme of this year's Black History Month, February and Forever, celebrating Black history today and every day, is crucial. As you can see, there is a rich history, and this segment is only meant to give you a very tiny taste of it. There are plenty more people, events, and concepts that can be explored, and I encourage you to do so. Any Canadian or anyone coming into the country should check out the Canada.ca Cultural Heritage section, where there's plenty more for you to read and find out about. But speaking of personality profiles, now we go to Sarah Ostapchuk for a profile on Minister Hussein. It's a great and fascinating story, and I hope you guys enjoy it.
Black History Month is about recognizing and celebrating the contributions of Black persons historically and presently. People of color have affected positive change in countless aspects of Canadian living, including immigration. A wonderful example is Ahmed Hussein, Minister of Housing and Diversity and Inclusion, and former Minister of the IRCC. Today, we'll be taking an in-depth look at Minister Hussein's experience as an immigrant and later a Canadian minister, and his perspective of the two as a person of color. For those of you watching, Minister Hussein's immigration story might sound familiar to you. You may see yourself in his experience because, like you, he once sought immigration services to make Canada his new home. Minister Ahmed Hussein, before he was a minister, came to Canada as a refugee from Somalia at age 16 by himself. Like many refugees, Minister Hussein was pushed from his roots by war and had to embark on a new way of life in a foreign land. For him, it was Canada, and it was very cold. In a TED Talk, Minister Hussein recounts an early memory of his initial time in Canada. He was trying to mail a letter to his mother, but he was very unfamiliar with the mailboxes used here. In the middle of a windy, snowy day, he fumbled with his letter and was surprised to find a kind lady, a perfect stranger, who left her stroller to help him mail his letter. This small act of kindness has stuck with him ever since, and it was his introduction to a real Canadian niceness that he would come to love and take pride in as a resident of Canada. Minister Hussein lived in Regent Park, an area in Toronto with subsidized housing. He benefited from and was grateful for social services that helped him and others like him in his neighborhood. The impression it made would later push him to do great community work. In 2002, he founded the Regent Park Community Council, where, as its president, he helped secure a $500 million revitalization project to update the community and support the residents. He was awarded the Queen Elizabeth II Golden Jubilee Medal for his work. Mr. Hussein completed a Bachelor of Arts from York University and later a law degree from the University of Ottawa. His focus was on criminal defense, immigration and refugee law, and human rights. He has been a part of many groups, including the Canadian Somali Congress, Toronto City Summit Alliance, Global Enrichment Foundation, and Journalists for Human Rights. In 2015, he was elected as Minister of Parliament for the York Southwestern region of Toronto. And in 2017, he was appointed Minister of IRCC by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Though Minister Hussein has fond memories of Canada, he also experienced many instances of racism. In the same TED Talk, he recounts a story of being stopped by police many times while walking in his neighborhood when he was younger, being questioned as to how he obtained his government role simply because of his skin color, and having a law clerk mistake him as the accused instead of the legal representative on paper because of his name. Minister Hussein acknowledges both versions of Canada and has hope for the future because he believes Canada wants to do better. Minister Hussein continued effecting positive change during his time as Minister of IRCC. In 2018, Minister Hussein announced the launch of the Visible Minority Newcomer Women Project, meant to improve employment and career advancement by addressing barriers such as gender and race discrimination, low income, expensive childcare, and weak social supports. In 2019, Canada accepted 20,000 additional parent and grandparent sponsorships, quadruple the number accepted in 2014. He also launched the Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot Program, which has continued as a regular program due to its success. He was re-elected as MP in the same region in 2019 and was also appointed as Minister of Families, Children, and Social Development. In 2021, he was appointed as Minister of Housing and Diversity and Inclusion, which is the current role he occupies. Minister Ahmed Hussein symbolizes the potential in each immigrant coming to Canada, which is supported by Canadian infrastructure. However, his experience also exemplifies the systemic and historic struggle that still exists today for people of color in this country. His continued faith in Canada's ability and desire to improve, and all the work that he has done for the Toronto area are commendable. And he is a great example of Black Canadians that Black History Month is meant to celebrate.
Congrats on your amazing personality piece there, Sarah. Now, as someone that's interviewed people on the show, I know that there are things that don't always make the final cut. So what's something you kind of wish had been there that you just couldn't?
Yeah, you're right. Well, for the profile, I read some government sort of profiles on Minister Hussein, but the most interesting thing I think that I came across was a TED Talk that he did, I think in 2017 when he was Minister of IRCC. And there's just lots of personal anecdotes in there about his first impressions of Canada and Canadians I included some of them, but I couldn't do all of them. One that really stuck out to me, he was talking about Canadian niceness. And I think a lot of Canadians have become a little bit jaded about the truth of that, whether it is true or not. But he really believed in it because he experienced it firsthand. And one of the things that he mentions is so he came to Canada by himself when he was 16 as a refugee. So he didn't have his parents with him. He was quite young. And he was going to high school in the Toronto region. And he joined the track team. And I guess he didn't have too much money at the time. So the entire track team and the coach pooled their money and helped him buy a winter coat, which I thought was just, real sense of community there. Community on like Canada on like a microcosm level. That really struck me.
I can actually relate to that. I coming out here to Canmore, didn't have to do this. One of the owners of one of the local shops here actually got me an interior jacket for wintertime here. Yeah, no, like there are some genuinely, like I can speak, I've been across the country quite a bit. Canadians are some of the nicest people in the world by and large. Even when they disagree with you, they are still some among the most generous people in the world. And it can really can be. And it's good for him, like that he had such a good community around him at a time when he needed it. That's actually an awesome thing. And that will do this for this very special episode of the MyConsultant.ca show. For more information about the topics covered in the show, please visit MyConsultant.ca, where you can explore up-to-date news on important issues, read in-depth articles explaining immigration and censorship, and seek answers to your most pressing questions from a vibrant community of authorized immigration and citizenship consultants. Until next week, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Joshua Pintello-Rusco.
And I'm Sarah Ostapchuk.
Aiding and assisting you to come to Canada.
Have a great week.